Alrighty then. Thanks so much for this weekly Q&A. It's so helpful. I'm wondering if it's safe to keep the prong collar on all the time. I've seen a few people say to only use it for walks, but my dog pulls whenever she on the leash right now. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Just take it off when she's sleeping and stuff like that. But when I send dogs home, um, the first month or so, if the dog is out of the crate, then the dog has the prong collar on. All right, so yeah, that's fine by me. And thank you for watching. All right, like I said, we will be discussing what to do, another way to sort of get dogs to be more accepting of strangers, right? I've had a lot of dogs who came in and say they're wary of strangers on leash. They bark, react, sometimes lunge and bite. But I really want to emphasize something on that may really work for you. So bear with me. That's what we'll be talking about. That's going to be the subject of this podcast. But doesn't mean you can't ask questions. Ask multiple questions. Ask as many as you want. But we'll be discussing that because I think I may have learned something this last few hours. So I'm always thinking of new ways and different ways to help out. And what I've noticed with this group of dogs is something that may help even more. All right. All right. If you guys don't have any questions, the people who are watching live, you guys ask questions first. You will be the priority. Otherwise, I'm going to go back and I've got some emails that I can go through and some Instagram questions as well. All right. So first of all, oh, got a question. Sorry. Let's see. All right. What is the best way to teach a dog not to jump? She's an English bulldog. Okay, Barb. So what I would do is make sure that notice when the dog jumps. Okay, so if the dog jumps for, say, when you come home or attention or anything like that, you want to make sure you're not giving that dog what it wants, which is probably your attention. Okay, so that's got to be the train of thought. The jumping can't get the dog what it wants because that's a pushy behavior. Secondly, you have to let the dog know that that's not okay. Either you move your body into the dog, you tell the dog no very sternly, but the dog's got to know that that's disrespectful because that's what another dog would do anyway. If another dog would jump on your bulldog, the bulldog or the other dog would probably let the bulldog know that that is not okay. Same thing with you. You have to let the dog know that that is not a behavior that's good. And if you keep all four paws on the ground, then it will get you what you want, which is my attention. But so that's how I get dogs not to jump on me. The thinking is this shouldn't get you petted by anybody either. No one can pet the dog while the dog is jumping because you're just reinforcing that behavior. You're telling your dog, oh, it's okay for you to jump when you pet the dog or give anything that the dog is seeking while it jumps. So that's the train of thought. Again, how to get there. You definitely have to, if the dog wants to be physical with you, try being physical back with the dog by a way of, lifting your leg so the dog doesn't get to jump on you. All right. You just have to show the dog that that's not okay. And then once it calms down, then you can give the dog attention. But most of the time, all dogs want attention, treats, outside, petting, or something like that. And they'll be pushy to get those things. But if we can show them that the pushy behavior doesn't work, then they'll try and do other things, which can be reinforced. All right. I hope that helps. Feel free to ask another question too. All right. How do you properly introduce dog to other dogs? I recently moved and there's a lot of dogs in the neighborhood and my dog is always eager to meet them, but I'm not sure how to go about it. I know you never said introduce dogs on leash. So I would say this. I'm not quite sure that your dog wants to meet them. All right. It may be an insecure thing coming from your dog. Even though it looks happy, excited, whatever, it may be your dog is nervous about those other dogs. So what I would do is make sure your dog gets to a state of mind that's sort of a very calm one, and also an indifferent mindset, right? So you want to get to the point where your dog doesn't even look at those other dogs, because that's how you know you are totally in control of the walk. Once you are there, then maybe you can do some other stuff, but you want your dog to totally be in tune with you on the walk, or not in tune with other dogs on the walk, in case the dogs need to look like it wants to meet other dogs is coming from a place of insecurity. So like I said, I would get to the point where I'd put a lot of structure on that walk, to the point where the dog looks at another dog and looks away right away, or just kind of ignores the dog, right? It's like, oh, here comes another dog. That way you're knowing that you're sort of facilitating their trust, and that's what helps him be secure about other dogs on walks, if it's definitely coming from another place. All right, guys, I'm also on YouTube, so bear with me. I want to make sure my YouTube followers know that what to do here, so bear with me. Anybody who's watching YouTube, you guys ask questions, okay? This is a dog training Q&A. If you have any questions about dogs, feel free to ask. We are here until 7 o'clock, answering any and all dog training questions. All right? Thank you. All right. Hold on. This is necessary. What do you do when a dog gets mouthy? He puts his mouth on my arm when he doesn't like something, such as putting on his prong collar or brushing him. He's a German Shepherd. All right, Miss Jennifer. So when he puts his mouth on you, it's his way of trying to manipulate the situation in the direction that is convenient for him. Okay, he's wanting to manipulate the situation. What you have to do immediately when he puts his mouth on you is tell him no. And what I would do is grab his collar so that you can keep him from moving away from you, or keep him from putting his mouth on you. So if you grab his collar, and lift his jaw up so that he's kind of like at this angle, he can't really then put his mouth on you. But your dog should be able to comfortably allow you to put the prong on, brush, do everything you said without any of that stuff going on. But what you have to do is go through that whole process of him attempting to mouth you, or him thinking that he can get out of the situation. And then once he realizes that all that stuff is not going to work for him, then he'll accept anything from you. That's the point. That's the thing that we want to get with all of our dogs, right? My philosophy is if we're not hurting the dog in any way, if we're doing things that's actually good for them, then they should be able to accept it without any protest. Okay, so that dog putting his mouth on you is his way to not do what he doesn't want done to him, whether it be brushing, whether it be putting the prong collar on, whether it be whatever, touching the paws. A lot of dogs have that. But you have a good enough relationship with the dog that you can tell him no, and sternly. And I mean, if he gets to the point where he really tries to protest, you still have to be the sort of winner, so to speak, of that whole situation. He's going to try and get out of it, but you have to be consistent enough to get the dog to realize that your best effort isn't going to get me anywhere. Isn't going to get you anywhere. All right. But if you stay calm and everything like that, then, you know, then he starts to realize, again, after he attempts to manipulate the situation, after it doesn't work, then he has no choice but to say, okay, do what you need to do. That's the deal. All right. So just think of a way. Doesn't matter which way. There's multiple ways to get it done, but think of a way to get it done. That's the deal. You have to get it done. Then he will stop the mouthing because he knows it won't work for him. Dogs won't bite you if they know it won't work for them. Dogs will not bite you if they know it's not worth it for them too. So keep that in mind. If dogs know it's not worth it for them to bite, because they also take into account what could happen to them if they bite. That's why they don't bite. Some people. Because they know that maybe it's not worth it for me not to. Right? So there's not a dog that's crazy enough to say, I don't give a crap what happens to me. I'm doing what I want. That's just not realistic. So thank you for your question. Okay, here we go. Questions are rolling in. Hey guys, feel free to ask as many questions as you want. I don't care. I'll answer them all. Even if we go past 7, I'll answer them all. I'm here to answer questions. I feel like there are people who say that this really helps them out, so I'm here. We are at episode 46, and I really encourage, if anybody who's watching that my clients, any of my clients that are watching right now, if you've had trouble or anything, this is another resource for you guys to bounce questions off me, you know, or because a conversation can really, really be the difference. All right. Thank you guys. Oh, got a question from YouTube. All right. All right. I'm going to answer that one. Hold on. Oh, where'd it go? Okay. How do I get my dog not to rush the door when the doorbell rings? He knows place, but after the bell rings, he's already in excited mode and he can't get him to go back to his place. All right, Allison, this is a great question. Many people struggle with this. What you have to do is practice. First of all, you have to practice with just you and the dog, right? No strangers. You and the dog. You go up to the door, open the door, knock on the door, ring the doorbell, and act like we just did this today with a dog. I had a guest come over. We put the dog in place, and then she rang the doorbell, came in, and we had to make the dog be obedient during all of that stuff, right? All of the knocking on the door, the coming in, and even the speaking. What happens when a dog comes inside? We all say, what happens when guests come inside? We're like, oh, hey, how are you? Oh my gosh. Even that tone of voice right there, even saying that sets dogs off. All right, so practice all of that, you know? Practice being the pizza man, the UPS man, all that good stuff, because all those things are triggers for certain dogs. So, okay, here's the other thing. The other thing is this. Cheers, Amy. The other thing is you may have to add a tool in order to get your dog to listen to you at a higher stress level. All right, so the dog knows place command. Now it just has to do it. How do we get it? How we get the dog to do it with our voice is to add a tool. So you may have to put the leash on the dog and practice. You may have to put a prong collar on the dog and practice. You can use the e-collar in practice. But the dog has to be able to, you have to be able to convince the dog that no matter what, when I say go to your bed and stay, you must stay there for your benefit and ours. All right, so adding another tool will do that. But master that and see the results you get. When people come over now, my dogs don't get up from the bed at all, no matter who it is, because they've been trained to do so. All right, thank you for your question. Feel free to ask another one. Okay, let's see. I'm going to have to open this up. All right. Let's see. My human aggressive dog, Tanner, has no problems meeting people when he meets them in his happy place, our backyard pond. Inside the house is a whole different story. We end up crating him the entire time we have visitors. Wish I could recreate the happy feeling inside the home. Thoughts? You can do so. You can create that same feeling. Um, when I have a break of, hold on, Lynn. When I have a break from questions, I'm going to go over exactly what I think a way to help him with that. But I'll go ahead and give you a couple of pointers. First and foremost, if the dog is a little bit nervous, more nervous inside the house, then that just tells you that you have to be more, you have to give him more structure inside the house. And I mean more boundaries. And I mean for longer. And don't underestimate when I say that. When I mean that, what I mean by is that when guests come over in your house, your dog should be doing one thing. And the whole entire time the guests are there. I don't care how long they are. They're obviously not, they're not going to be there for 3 or 4 hours. So for the hour that they're there, you know, you can do it. You can even do it like that. For the hour that they're there, your dog should be in a place command. You know, because dogs can lay on their bed for more than 1 hour. Okay. And be sleeping and be content. If you want to cut it, say that's too long. Say, Jeremy, you know what? I think that's too long. Fine. Then make it 30 minutes. And then put the dog in the crate. And then the next time, make it 40 minutes. And then put the dog in the crate. The dog has to be on its place and has to stop moving, or has to be indifferent. Become indifferent to the guest before you get any progress. But the dog also has to trust you, period. Okay? The dog has to take your word for it before it's going to not advocate for itself. That's all it takes. So sometimes, if you can't even have that situation, then you have to keep the dog by you on leash and just keep the strangers away from you. Because what the dog is nervous about, you have to show him that there's no need to be nervous about that situation long enough for the dog to say to itself, she showed me it's cool, I'm good. Okay. So you just have to be very, very conscious of giving the dog extra structure wherever it's nervous. And sometimes people don't know how to do that, and that's why I'm here. But thank you for your question. I hope that helps. Feel free to ask another one. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate that. How to make a dog stop to destroy things while I'm away. He used to the crate, but now I'm away for 11 hours per day, so I don't want to leave him there for so long. The first week, everything was fine, but then he started to destroy things in the house, especially wood features. All right, so what I would do is, if you can, I would definitely recommend hiring someone to let your dog out in the middle of those 11 hours. That's just too long. It's too long to expect a dog not to tear up stuff, especially if you have a dog under 5 years old, because most of those dogs are going to be still immature enough to get their anxiousness out of their system. So you want to give the dog exercise in the middle of that day to break up the day. Hire a dog walker. I don't know the pricing of it, but but that would greatly benefit your dog, and your dog would stop tearing up stuff if it actually got the chance to exercise some of that anxiety out. Okay? That's what I would highly recommend. Thank you for your question. Feel free to ask another one. I'm just going to keep saying that. All right. What are your thoughts on dog daycares? Any referrals for Milwaukee area? Oh, Tina. Shoot. Man, I wish I did have a recommendation for Milwaukee. Unfortunately, I don't. I have one in Madison. I have one here, but I haven't worked with one intimately enough to really give you one that I would feel really good about. I will say there's a Central Bark in Is it Brookfield? No, is it Wauwatosa? There's a Central Bark in. Oh man, it's not. There's two of them in Wauwatosa, I believe. Which one? What's that highway? Damn. It's out by Mayfair Mall, I believe. No, it's not. It's not Highway 100. There's a Central Bark dog daycare that I used to work at many years ago. It's not. I think it's out by Mayfair Mall, and I think if the owner is named Carrie, and if the owner is still named Carrie, they have experience on dogs that maybe need a little extra, right? So I would check that out. If just Google Central Bark and Wauwatosa, and if Carrie still works there, then I think you may be all right. Kristen says tail waggers. Tail waggers might be all right. I don't know anything about tail waggers. Thank you for your question. All right. We are moving to a new house and things are crazy and stressful right now. The dog knows something is going on and has been acting up. Is there a way to make the transition easier for him? Yes! I've moved many times, Jennifer. Many times with my dogs. I've never had a problem simply because I never made it a problem. I've always not... So again, when things are different, when things change, give that dog something to do. Tell him to go lay down. Tell him to... It's also going to help alleviate the stress. Tell that dog to that you get up, go on somewhere. Go lay down. I've never had dog stress. I've moved 4 or 5 dogs from here to Georgia and back multiple times. I've never had that situation happen. All right. So that when you feed in, when you pet, when you pay attention to their thinking of something's different, then you're adding to the stress. Give the dog something to do. Make him really just indifferent to the situation. Don't pay attention to that. Okay? Just say, go on somewhere. All right? That's what I would do. And it's helped because I've never had a dog stress while moving. But I know that is stressful for most dogs. It's also stressful for us. Moving is a very stressful thing for sure. But yeah, give your dog a job to do so that they can't do that as well. I know, Rory. I wish we could have as well. But how could we get Wi-Fi out there? I don't know how we would have gotten Wi-Fi out there. Anyway, we got everything ready for Saturday, so you guys should best be ready. All right, let's see. Let me make sure I got everyone's question. You're welcome. All right. Well, it seems like I've got everybody's question. So I want to talk to you guys about the topic of the podcast. Oh, okay. Never mind. There's a question that came up. Let's see. Well, it seems like I've got everybody's question. So where'd it go? Okay. Our dog is only aggressive when other dogs pose a threat. Growling, showing teeth, etc. But she's hesitant with all dogs. How can I teach her that not all dogs pose a threat? What you have to do to make sure your dog doesn't think other dogs are a threat is make sure that you are in control. Your dog knows that you are in control of all dogs. That's how you're going to get your dog to be more accepting. So you basically just have to show your dog that every dog is not a threat. Your dog should listen to you. When you say something, when you feel that there's tension between your dog and the other dog, or just your dog in general, you should be able to verbally snap your dog out of it. Kind of, you should be able to kind of refocus their attention towards you. And if you don't have that level of control, you definitely want to get it. All right. Because that's how you advocate for your dog and show your dog that just because there's another dog doesn't mean you have to be so defensive. But it was because, you know, you guys weren't there in certain circumstances where the dog then became nervous of other dogs. So all you have to do is be there for your dog. Sometimes you may have to keep the dog on leash so that you can control your dog. But one way or another, you have to just show the dog that you can control your dog, and you may have to be able to control the other dog too, because the other dog could pose a very obnoxious body language, which could keep your dog in a stressful, insecure state. Okay, that's it. It just depends on, you know, first and foremost, it always depends on the dog, but I can get my dog to get along with any dog that's actually, you know, not crazy. Thank you for your question. Feel free to ask another one. All right, let's get into the topic, folks. So, what I have learned. This is gonna be pretty cool. What I have learned with working with my dogs, the current dogs that I have 3 human aggressive female. Got another question. Sorry, we'll go back to that. Hold that thought. My fear aggressive foster Petey is getting adopted tomorrow. He's made huge progress in the last 2.5 months. Thanks for all your advice, and thank you for you know, taking in that advice and applying it. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. I hope everything goes well. And yeah, that's great. Good news. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate it. All right, so back to what the topic is, right? Human aggressive dogs, in my opinion, the majority that I work with come with a little bit of, I would just say, entitlement. Okay, so they're used to getting what they want. They're used to the world revolving around them. So what happens when you take that away? Because one of the things that come with taking that away is also praise and petting. So what I've found with these 4 dogs in specific is that if you withhold praise, and we did this a few weeks ago. I challenged all of my past clients, or anybody, didn't matter, to not pet their dog for 1 week. A couple of you guys did it. Couple of you guys reported back that the news was that it was really good improvement in their behavior. So not petting your dog for 1 week. I know some of you guys are like, I couldn't do it. There's no way. All right, but that's the key, I think, why my dogs that I'm working with right now are so accepting of strangers, because I'm not giving them an overabundance of praise. Yes, 1 week, Tina, 1 week. Let's see if you can do it and see what happens. If nothing happens, be honest, tell me nothing happens, then okay, whatever. But I doubt that that's going to be the case. But anyway, all right. So that's going to be the key in your dog accepting strangers. If you don't give them all of that praise all the time, then they're going to want that extra. Dozer needs 1 month. Yeah, Dozer could use 1 month, but he's such a big baby. I don't know if he could even last. But you use that as a tool to get your dog to do what you want him to do. If it's not getting it from you, it could possibly be more accepting of it from strangers. I'm telling you. I've had the dogs meet 5 other strangers, every single one of them, and they wanted them to pet them. So if your dog is very human aggressive or human fearful of strangers, try not petting the dog. Okay, try it. Because the dog is more, that's how I got my dog. Now that I'm thinking about it, I just thought about this today. Now that I'm thinking about it, my human aggressive dog, I don't pet that much, but she now seeks petting from strangers because she doesn't get it. And they know it feels so good, right? They want it. So how come we can't use that as a means to get them to behave by withholding it? Treat it like candy from a kid. You don't just give candy to a kid and celebrate if they bring home C's and D's and F's. They're not just gonna, everything's not gonna be the same, or at least it shouldn't be. If you want change, if you want those A's and B's, you're not gonna give the dog, or excuse me, you're not gonna give the kid what it wants. We're always gonna provide the dog with what it needs, but what it wants sometimes can be used to get them to act. But you also got to evaluate how much you give the dog praise because it's good for you or you want it. That's the hard part. So I'm going to tell my people that too. Saturday on the pack walk, you know, if you have a dog that is still misbehaving in certain areas, try it. Let them know that you're different and not the same. That's the only reason why dogs don't bite me, because I present myself as different. So it just gets them to think and not react. Oh, he's different. Instead of saying, oh, he's the same. I can do what I want. If I do this, I'll get what I want. All right. So you definitely want to try that approach. If your dog is struggling in any way, in any area, try reducing the amount of praise that you give the dog to keep the dog humble too. That also helps with recall. If the only time you're very animated and loving and caring for your dog is when they're off leash, they'll be more likely to come to you. I promise you that. But if you give them an overabundance of praise and you want them to come to you because you're going to praise them if you do, there's no real reason for them to come to you. All right. I just had another YouTube follower. Whoever's watching, if you have any dog training questions, feel free to ask. This is a dog training Q&A. Oh, here we go. Allison says, what if your dog is overly friendly towards people? Still no praise for a week? I would say, okay, so here's my opinion on this. And this is, you know, I'll leave this up to you because your dog is friendly. But I'm working with fearful dogs. But if your dog is overly friendly, it could also mean that your dog is borderline nervous. And I'm not saying that I don't know your dog, but there's a lot of dogs who get overly excited to also control the situation, right? There are dogs out there that will be pushy in a friendly way to inadvertently control the human that they're nervous about. It may not be biting, it may not be barking, it may not be growling. It may just be an overabundance of looking like the dog is happy, but it still may be manipulating the situation. So what I would do is not that, okay? So here's my philosophy when it comes to dogs and humans. The dogs should be indifferent to humans. It shouldn't cause a reaction. The dog shouldn't say, oh my God, humans, and lose its crap, whether it's happy, 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 or, you know, aggressive behavior. The dog should just be neutral. You want to build a neutral, calm dog, right? So you may have to control the dog when the strangers are presented long enough until the dog's calm. Then the dog can go say hi. Even if the dog is nervous, that's my approach anyway. Wait until the dog's calm, then the dog gets what it wants. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it. No petting challenge accepted. All right, Amy, let's see. We're going to check in with you next week and see how it goes. I already had one person come in and said it makes a big difference, okay? So it makes a big difference in my dogs. My dogs love to come to me, and they love when I pet them. But that's because I just keep it selective when I do. It's hard. That's probably the hardest thing for most people. Okay? Keep it selective. But that's the best tool you can use. No e-collar, no prong collar, no leash, no doggy don't, no pet convincer can trump what that belly rub feels like. What that warmth feels like. You know, what those cuddles feels like. Just really make them work for it. And you'll see the difference in behavior because of that. All right. Thank you for your question. Okay, let's see. Yeah, 1 week. All right, any of you guys watching, feel free to ask another question. I can keep going on talking about what I was talking about, but I think you guys got the gist of it. It's you know, it's like for me, dog training is like the best example of the broke finance professor, the roofer who has a terrible roof. You know, it's really easy for dog trainers to not apply their own methods and philosophies to their own dogs. But I've got to, because I'm in the trenches with you guys as well. So the best scenario is to work with someone who is in the trenches with you as well, with dealing with dogs that have aggressive issues, fearful issues, anxiety issues, pushy, sensitive dogs. That's the best scenario. The second best scenario is to have someone who have at least been through it before with a dog or a few dogs. I say it secondarily because I think there always are going to be new things that you can realize if you always have a dog currently. So again, the best situation is if you have a person you can learn from that is currently in the same situation you are in. But the second best is if they've been there, and then and obviously the worst is if they don't have. A lot of dog trainers don't have and never have had a rescue dog. They got those smart border collies and labs that can do nice tricks to get you to see if they can train your dog with, but they really don't know about behavior modification. All right. So anyway. All right, guys, feel free to ask some more questions. Ask 2 or 3 questions. I don't care how many questions you have. Feel free to ask as many as you want. Oh, we got one in. Okay. Still working on the deaf, blind, and one-eyed Airedale mix biter puppy. Still looking for suggestions other than the e-collar on how to get his attention. Is the dog food motivated? Is the dog ball motivated? Does the dog like affection? Yes. Okay. Well, use his food. Use the ball. The vibration is going to be the key. I think you should get an e-collar, just simply because you can use the vibration. There's collars where it's nothing but vibration, and there's different levels of vibration. So I would try that out, because it's like touching the dog, and he's deaf, so there's no better tool than that. Okay, he has seizures, but what about that? It has to do with the e-collar. I've worked with dogs that Well, no, I haven't worked with a dog that was deaf and had seizures. I just worked with a dog on e-collar that had seizures, and it was okay. Well, ask your vet, because I did. We cleared it through the vet that they thought it would be all right, and we continued work. That's what I would do. You can try that out, but keep me updated on the dog. Interesting case for sure. Okay, so one of the things I want to tell you guys too that I've noticed this week is, and I want to make sure people know, because I also thought I had a question about it, is when you are introducing dogs to dogs and you are and they're starting to play, what you want to make sure you're doing. This is one of the things. I got a shadow student right now. And one of the things we went over today is when to stop, when to intervene when dogs are playing that are just getting to know each other. And I just told her early and often, you want to stay in the dog's mind, which just means not allowing the dog to go to a mindset that it is totally ignoring your commands. You want to stay in the dog's mind. So that may mean you have to stay close to the play, and you may have to break up the play early and often. What also happens when you break up that play is you're also letting the dog, if one of the dogs are could be potentially being too pushy to the other dog, you're also then freeing up that other dog to sort of feel safe and not have to take it to the next step, which would be fighting, growling, barking, or snapping, in order to communicate. So if dogs are kind of wrestling right and it seems to be, a little energetic and gets a little vocal, step in, stop it, tell them to relax, and once they're relaxed, then they can play again. But intervene early and often to let both dogs know that you are in control of both dogs. That's how they're going to establish a really good, safe, trusting relationship with each other. All right. Would it be helpful to tether the dog to the person for training? Yes, it would in certain situations. I've done it many times. Go ahead. That just means follow me. That's all right. I'm all right with that. Did I let strangers pet them? Yeah, I did let strangers pet them. I let strangers pet them, but that is not my priority. My priority is not to let strangers pet them. My priority is to just have the dog be good around strangers. That's it. Which just means they're not feeling the need to bark, bite, lunge, and all that good stuff. Bad stuff. Okay? So it's not my goal. We may not get there with certain dogs because I only have 3 weeks. 3 weeks is not enough. They may get there. The parents may get there with enough coaching. They may get there. All right. But that may take years. I'm telling you. It took my dog years to say, all right, I'm going to let this dude pet me and this is awesome. Period. Okay. What are your thoughts and opinions on using clickers during training in general? I don't use clickers. I don't think they're necessary. I don't think treats are necessary. A lot of top trainers do use both. Good Lord, I just don't. I'm sorry. It can be great for teaching tricks, but I want the dog to respond to my voice. That's it. No clickers and anything like that. And Sarah, I saw that question you asked to the dog training board, and I want to answer that for you too. Just bear with me because I would love to. I really feel I have a strong grip on getting good clientele. But anyway, going back to that briefly, if I don't feel something is necessary, I don't do it. I don't do it, and I feel very strongly about that. I don't do what I think is not necessary for learning. My goal is to help the dogs learn as quickly and as easily and as gently as possible. That's my goal. And so I don't even make dogs sit when I'm going in and out of doors because I find it not necessary. Okay? All they have to do is not assume that they can go through the door. Whether they're standing or sitting, it's up to them. But when I open the door, don't pull me through the door. That's all. So that's a small example of what I find not to be necessary, because if I make them sit, it doesn't make that much difference whether they're sitting or standing. So that's where I'm at with my thinking. But to answer your question, and I hope it's okay to answer the question that you posted on the dog training website. When it comes to, wait, was that? I don't think that was. Maybe it was you, or maybe it was someone else. But either way, when it comes to, this is the hard part. When it comes to clients that are really, really good. Shoot, I've had clients that invited me to their wedding. I've had clients now that have invited me to their baby shower. Really good relationships with clients. And the key is to be yourself. And that may sound superficial, that may sound shallow, but when I really, and again, it also depends on where you're at in your career too. You have to make sure you're busy enough so that you can really filter out the bull crap. But if you're in the beginning, if you're in the infancy, take all and any and all you can get your hands on. But eventually, when you get that, waiting list going on, then you can really work with the people who you not only vibe with you, but you vibe with them. Because you want to make sure that they're committed. And sometimes the price point also has a lot to do with it. But more so than that, what you're displaying to the world is more important than anything. Who you are. You can only be you to make people think that you're different. That's it. The only thing people can say, he's different, is if you're you. Because if you try and be a certain way that you think may work for you, then you may fall victim to sounding like everyone else. But if you are truly you, then people can decipher whether they like you or don't. But the downfall is there are going to be some people that say, I don't like you. But then the people that choose to move forward with you are really going to like you. That's just how it is, because you are you. And you didn't try and do anything else. You didn't try and sell them. You were just being you. And you are allowing them to say no to you. That's powerful. That's how you get really good connections with people who you work with. It's a team thing. It's an intimate thing. It's people's child. So their heart is going to be in it. And you have to respect that fact. I don't know if that was your question, but I've gotten that from a couple of other dog trainers as well. So I wanted to emphasize that. There was a guy who just followed me on Instagram who said, I'm not like these other trainers who charge these crazy amounts of money, and I'm really in it for the dog, and I just wanted to say, okay, good luck with that method of thinking. Good luck with that. Good luck accepting everyone who wants dog training. Because everyone who wants dog training doesn't really even want dog training. They don't really want change. Because sometimes it takes accountability. And as we know, that is more tough than anything else. Making it seem like it could be what the owners are doing or not doing that the dog's behaving a certain way. So the higher price point gets you a little bit more committed clients. Why? Because they are paying you more money, and they are going to want what they think is a fair exchange for that amount of money. But more so than money, it's not just money. It's also putting yourself out there, letting them feel your personality, so they can say nope. Because guess what? Again, the people who really vibe with you are going to be super excited to vibe with you because you are being shown, as opposed to pictures. Just Facebook posts aren't enough. It's not enough. You gotta put yourself out there with videos and stuff like that. All right, and the other thing is fake it until you make it. You know, if you're not very confident in what you do and everything that you do, act like you are. You know, because people need help. Tons of people just need help. So, when it comes to attracting the right client. Oh, no, that wasn't your question. I think I remember your question. Anyway, I'll just finish up with, when you're dealing with people who you want to really attract, the best way is to just be you and be honest. All right. That's it. Feel free to ask another question, Sarah. I'm glad you're watching. Nelson Hodges, if you guys don't know, is another good trainer. He's worked with wolves and stuff like that for a long time. He's going to be in Wisconsin, Black Creek, Wisconsin, starting Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. His name is Nelson Hodges. I'm going to his seminar tomorrow. I'm only going to be able to stay one day, but I'm not sure how long I'll be able to stay. But I definitely want to meet this guy. He's incredible. And I feel like I can learn something from him. So, oh yeah, Sarah, you're there. All right, sweet. All right. So yeah. All right, guys. Hey, we got about 5 minutes left. If anyone has any final questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I don't even know what we can talk about for the last 5 minutes, but I'm going to have a sip of my beer. I know that. Black Creek, Wisconsin. It's about 20 minutes west, maybe a little bit more, of Green Bay. Black Creek, Wisconsin. I used to train police dogs out there with a lady named Deb Krisnich. And so I used to spend a lot of time out there. There's a nice little supper club that serves some burgers and some old fashions.
Burgers? A supper club?
Yeah, we were there for lunch. So, submissive peeing. Who does the submissive peeing? Does that deaf dog do submissive peeing? That deaf dog is a handful. Jeez. Louise. Submissive peeing has to do, I will just say, go ahead real quick and say submissive peeing has something to do with your body pressure. I would keep the leash on the dog who does submissive peeing. Okay, so you don't have to get that close. And you can grab the dog and walk away before it decides to pee. I got a Doberman who was doing the same thing. But, yeah, submissive peeing, body pressure. Keep a leash on the dog. That's how I would help the dog learn not to. And that your body pressure moving forward or moving towards the dog is okay. I recently had a trainer once again claim that Schutzhund or any play similar will make a dog like Dozer more aggressive. I guarantee you it won't. Bring that dog over here. We'll do some Schutzhund. Listen, I'll tell you what right now. the person that told you that doesn't know about play drive. The dog or the person that told you that is only worked dogs in defensive drive, which means yes, the dog is going to be more reactive because it's in defensive mode. Schutzen is a German dog sport. Schutzen is protection dog. It's German for protection dog, and a lot of police dogs come from that training. It's just basically bite work. But, you know, good Lord. That trainer doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, again, defensive drive and prey drive is two very different things. You know, you shouldn't be scaring dogs to bite you. You should be playing with dogs to bite you. Not scaring them into biting, but encouraging them to bite. Because they can, because you have the pads on and stuff like that. We got that toy you used with him. He loves it. Continue to use it. I don't care. As long as you're in control, it's about this right here. Your dog is going to do what it needs to do to get that toy. And just because the trainer was force-free, rewards-based, which is great, but those are seeks that kind of play as a reward. The trainer's a force-free Schutzen trainer. Oh, no. The trainer is a force-free trainer and told you that Schutzen will make him more aggressive. That trainer is an elementary thinking trainer. Did this trainer come from Petco or PetSmart? We don't have time for that. And I'm sorry if it sounds a little arrogant. I'm sorry if it sounds a little... But I'm just telling the truth, people. I'm just telling the truth. Force-free trainers don't know anything about Schutzen. That's what she heard about Schutzen. Schutzen can be a great tool for dogs because you can get your dog, your energetic, prey-driven dog, tired in 5 minutes by doing some cool play drive, bite work. So, whatever. Just say whatever to that trainer. Doesn't know a damn thing about Schutzen. If you think Schutzen makes more dogs aggressive, please go to Germany. They have Schutzen fields set up right next to children's playgrounds. Like, really? If this was making them more aggressive, them children would be in trouble. But it's not like that. The same dogs that are biting, trained to bite, are also underneath tables in restaurants chilling. You would never know they were there. The same dogs who are trained to bite, plenty of dogs that are trained to bite, are also on the bed snuggling with children. So, you know, whatever. I don't know what else to say. That trainer doesn't know anything. And there's a lot of trainers like that, and it's unfortunate, but whatever. Oh, man. My dog is fear aggressive with strangers, but he picks and chooses who to be afraid of. Some people he is great with, and others he reacts terribly. Any ideas? Yeah. So on the surface level, dogs can pick and choose based on their presence, the person's presence. It is a fact. I don't have any scientific data, but it is a fact from my experience that women get treated much more or greeted much more easily with dogs than men do. And big people get treated a little different than smaller people. Okay, so your dog's going to greet a bear differently than it greets a chihuahua. Simple as that. So it may have to do with what the dog sees visually. And then there's energetically what the people are bringing. If a dog is seeing a person that's very calm, cool, collected, and kind of ignoring the dog would probably be more acceptable of that person. But if the person comes in full of anxiety, wanting to touch the dog, and high-pitched voice and all this good stuff, that may help the dog be more reactive as well. So, but more so than that, it doesn't matter who it is. Why? Because the world's going to present all sorts of people, shapes, sizes, this, whatever. More importantly is if your dog can trust you in those situations. That's a secondary thought. What your question is secondary. Your primary sort of focus and goal should be is that you have control over your dog no matter what's going on. That's going to get your dog to accept all shapes, sizes, colors, temperaments, energy, all that stuff. Okay, so that's what I would focus on. All right? Because that line of thinking will drive you nuts. It's like, oh God, okay, what kind of person? Well, maybe he'll get with it. Maybe this person, maybe not. No, don't worry about all that. Have the mindset of, I don't care who it is. Do what I tell you, and I'll show you that no matter who it is, they're going to get along with anyone. All right? And that'll, again, open them up for that change. All right? Thank you for your question. All right, guys, it's time. If you got any final questions, you better go ahead and put it up. If I've missed it, I will type it in. All right? But if you got any final questions, type it in now. Otherwise, if you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. Give me a smiley face. I don't know what the heck to do, but I appreciate you guys watching. Because you know why? You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you decided to be here listening to me talk like whatever. Anyway, we'll be here next Thursday, same time, same channel. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time, and I hope you guys are having one. Cheers.